Welcome to Motorbike Explorer. In the last episode, I found myself in a very technical terrain while traversing Honduras, and then things got a little too technical for my amateur abilities as an off-road rider. I was simply following the directions on my phone, which brought me to these poorly maintained dirt roads, but I should have checked the topography on Google Earth when I was doing my trip planning. This part is very steep and rutty, and with blind confidence on my side, I'm giving it a go. Well, that didn't work out as planned. I do not want to risk damaging myself or my bike in the middle of nowhere, so I think I'm going to turn around and head back to the paved roads. But I'm not out of the woods yet. I still need to get myself out of this deep valley. From Copan Ruinas, I'm headed toward the city of Gracias, Honduras for the night. It's only 72 miles or 116 kilometers according to the GPS, but because of this difficult terrain, I've ridden about 3 hours only to get halfway. On top of that, I've now made the decision to turn around and look for another route before my luck runs out. After this small crash, I inspected the bike for damage, and luckily there was none. I then asked the locals to help me push the bike to the top of this steep hill, so that I can backtrack to the main paved road. I'm very lucky that nothing happened to the bike. My fear was cracking the rear subframe, which is made of aluminum. Aluminum is very fragile and difficult to weld. You won't find many welders who are experienced working with it. Who knows what kind of steep, treacherous passes there are beyond the next hill. I think I've made the right decision to turn around. What's an extra 4 hours of travel compared to the potential of being stranded in the middle of nowhere? I'm not trying to purposely get myself into a difficult situation just for a little more adventure. I chose this model bike to get me out of sticky situations, which was the case today. I have so much more distance to cover, and I need to make sure I finish this trip in one piece. Finally, the main road again. I made it out alive. I'll now be using highways CA11 and CA4 that loops around to the north. Even though it adds a lot more travel time to the day, I'm more than happy to do it on a paved road. Honduras is not a particularly long country. Ambitious drivers can travel border to border in a day. Following the main highway, the total distance through the country is only 330 miles, or 530 kilometers. There's an estimated population of almost 9 million living across the country, with most residing in the cities of Tegucigalpa, San Pedro Sula, and Choloma. For the most part, Honduras has a mountainous terrain, with some mountains reaching upwards of 9,350 feet, or 2,850 meters. The narrow coastal lowlands only account for about 20% of the country's topography, and in the northeast lies an undeveloped lowland jungle called La Mosquitia, which contains the Rio Platano Biosphere Reserve that has made it into the UNESCO World Heritage List due to extensive land clearing and illegal fishing and hunting. I don't intend on visiting the coasts or the jungles, as I've run out of ancient cities to visit for the rest of Central America. Perhaps I'll crave some beach time in Nicaragua or Costa Rica. Finally made it to my hotel in Gracias. What a long day. After I parked and unloaded the bike, I headed into downtown Gracias and was pleasantly surprised to see a rather large band tuning their instruments. So random yet so incredible. Once the band was warmed up, the music got a little livelier.
Ya, muchas gracias. Que vaya bien.
The town of Gracias made for a very relaxing stop, but it's that time to hit the road again and see more of Honduras, as I'm not even halfway through the country yet. So far, my experiences with the locals have been very pleasant. They are so welcoming to foreigners, and daily life in the smaller towns seem very peaceful. There's a strong Catholic following here, and it certainly shows in the interactions I've had. I've noticed the landscape getting greener and greener, and the mountain ranges more vast. This is perfect riding scenery. From Gracias, I've been making my way toward Comayagua for a night. These stretches have been short, but only because I want to give myself plenty of daylight to sort out any maintenance issues I may have with my bike. I think I've really settled into the Latin American culture. I've learned a lot more Spanish words since leaving the US. However, I am still having troubles with my sentences. I tend to think of what I want to say first in English, and just swap the words with Spanish ones, which is not the correct way to speak. It's been frustrating, but hopefully as the weeks go by, that will improve. After my crazy border passing experiences, the stress I get when approaching a new country is getting less and less. It's a new understanding that I'm more along for the ride during this massive journey than being in complete control of it. I've just reached the outskirts of Comayagua, so now it's time for the getting lost part of this travel day. I always get lost in larger cities. Finally, I found this well-camouflaged hotel. As I'm getting closer to the city of Tegucigalpa, I'm reminded by my friends and family of how dangerous the city is. I'm told that Honduras in general is extremely dangerous and that I should be very cautious. I have yet to pass through Tegucigalpa, but so far my experience with locals here have been pleasurable. I've read all the travel warnings and have seen some very violent news reports during my trip planning, but then again, that was the case in Guatemala, and I loved Guatemala. Whatever happens, happens. I can't control the world around me, but I will try my best to keep a low profile and not put myself into a dangerous situation. No matter what people say, I'm going to keep moving forward despite how dangerous a city is labeled. If you let fear take over and prevent you from trying new things in life, well, for me, that's not living. That's missing out. Here it is, Tegucigalpa, labeled as one of the most dangerous cities in the world. I have no idea what to expect, but I need to go through it in order to reach the next border crossing. Tegucigalpa is the largest and most populous city in Honduras, with over 1.1 million living in the center district. It is also the political and administrative center. According to the travel.state.gov website, 70% of U.S. citizen homicides occur in the urban areas of La Ceiba, San Pedro Sula, and Tegucigalpa, with the latter two ranking near the top as the most violent cities in the world. There has been a rather lengthy travel warning issued for the country, and it advises travelers to use extreme caution when visiting these cities. My stress level now is certainly through the roof. There are a few border crossing options. My plan was to head south to the Pan American Highway, but I was faced with a road closure that has lasted for several hours now, with no signs of opening up anytime soon. After waiting about 45 minutes, I decided to turn around, head back into the city of Tegucigalpa, to head east towards Danlí, and then to El Paraíso for another border crossing. So back into the city I go, to search for my GPS route to Danlí. I really do hate riding through unfamiliar cities. I get lost so many times in cities because of the maze of streets, small signs, lots of traffic, and the fact that I could only quickly glance down at my GPS in order to avoid getting into an accident. Okay, at this point, I've missed my turn twice, and I have to stop and study my GPS.
Yeah.
Que ese es un extra o es así.
Ah,
Es un extra.
es un Suzuki.
Oh, esto es un extra de gasolina.
Sí, sí. Plástico.
Viaja largo.
4 galones.
¿De dónde viene?
Estados Unidos.
Solo en moto.
Sí. Me voy a Chile.
¿Hasta dónde?
Chile.
O sea que va a carretera al sur.
No, necesito este aquí.
Ah, está mal. Mire, va hacia aquí. Semáforo. La bajada agarra hacia el anillo. Yo creo que usted va a carretera al sur. O va por Danlí.
Danlí, me voy a Danlí.
Entonces agarre esa carretera. Derecho.
Directamente.
Derecho hacia arriba. Todo.
Aquí
¿Dónde va ese carro?
Este camión allá.
Sí, ese carro que iba ahí.
Sí.
Derecho, sígalo.
Ok,
Va a
bueno.
salir a la carretera de Danlí.
Ya, gracias.
Ah, es que va por Danlí a salir a...
Sí, porque hay mucho tráfico allá. Gracias.
That was an incredible and surprising experience I had with a friendly local. After all the horrifying information I read about this city, this young man was only curious about me and my bike and offered his help. I'm actually very shocked. He saw a stranger that was lost, and in his good heart gave me directions to find my way. I kinda don't know what to think. I have mixed feelings about riding through this so-called one of the most dangerous cities in the world. Every experience I've had so far with the locals in Honduras has been great. I understand my friends and family are trying to protect me, but they may not understand the bigger picture of these countries labeled as dangerous. I'm sure that many people outside of the United States thinks the US is a dangerous country too. Basically, you can say every country in the world is dangerous. Or maybe we don't spend enough time thinking about the good and only focus on the bad. Why is fear so overpowering? Maybe it's just human nature, an instinct for survival and self-preservation. It's a shame, though, that fear is so paralyzing. This concludes touring through yet another country. It happened all so quickly, but I'm very close to the border with Nicaragua, and I'm excited to get another stamp in my passport. Thank you for joining me on my travels so far. I hope you enjoyed this episode and the country of Honduras as much as I did. Safe travels, everyone, wherever they may be, and have a wonderful day.